Hello and welcome to Midday Report, coming to life from Poland. I'm Salia Strzemska. Today marks 86 years since Nazi Germany's attack on Poland, an event that marked the beginning of World War II. On Monday morning, Polish leaders, including President Karol Nawrocki and Prime Minister Donald Tusk, attended solemn ceremonies to commemorate the occasion. The ceremonies took place at Westerplatte, a Polish military outpost on a peninsula in Gdańsk, where exactly 86 years ago, on September 1st, 1939, at 4:45 a.m., Germany fired the first shots of the war. A small force of around 210 Polish soldiers heroically defended the outpost for 7 days against overwhelming German forces, becoming a symbol of Polish resistance. The 1939-1945 German occupation of Poland killed more than 5 million Poles. The country also suffered huge losses to its infrastructure, including the destruction of roads, railways, bridges and factories. In his speech, President Karol Nawrocki called for Germany to make war reparations to Poland, and Prime Minister Donald Tusk stressed that, quote, Poles must be wise and understand who their enemy is and who is their ally.
In order to build a partnership with our Western neighbor based on truth and good relations, we must finally resolve the issue of war reparations from the German state, which I, as the President of Poland, unequivocally demand for the common good and for our future. We must be so strong, we must be so wise, we must be so united that no one, from any part of the world, will ever again think of attacking our homeland. We must be wise to understand where this great threat comes from today, and with it whom we should unite in the effort to defend Poland and the entire Western world, our civilization, which is the civilization of freedom. Poland, Europe, NATO, our allies, this is the result of the lesson we learned from the loneliness of 1939.
Westerplatte znaczy siła.
Westerplatte means strength. Westerplatte means hope. Westerplatte means commitment. Those who did not leave their positions in the transit depot for hours, suffering from hunger, scarcity, and bitterness, needed strength and endured hardships.
In Gdańsk, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk met with Polish President Karol Nawrocki on the sidelines of commemorations marking the outbreak of World War II. The gathering also served as a platform for talks focused on the President's upcoming visit to Washington, D.C.
Both leaders attended commemorations at the Westerplatte Peninsula on Monday morning, alongside top officials including Poland's defense minister and the Speaker of Parliament. Government spokesperson Adam Szłapka confirmed that Tusk and Nawrocki held a private meeting during the event. According to Szłapka, one of the key topics was the president's forthcoming trip to the United States. President Nawrocki is scheduled to visit Washington on Wednesday, September 3rd, at the invitation of US President Donald Trump. It will be his first foreign visit since taking office.
In a dramatic incident over Bulgaria, suspected Russian GPS jamming disabled the navigation system of a plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, forcing pilots to land using paper maps. Officials say the interference was deliberate. According to Financial Times, the EU chief's jet was targeted while it approached Plovdiv airport in Bulgaria on Sunday, as part of her tour of the so-called frontline states, including Poland. The pilot was forced to circle the area for an hour before deciding to use old-school analog maps to land. A Bulgarian official said that GPS readings over the whole Plovdiv airport area went dark, stressing it was undeniable interference. Bulgaria's Air Traffic Services Authority said in a statement that since the start of the war in Ukraine, there has been a notable increase in GPS jamming incidents and that Russia is regularly accused of being behind these efforts. Countries bordering Russia will receive additional EU funding. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced this on Monday at the Lithuania-Belarus border. There she met with President Gitanas Nausėda to discuss European security and defense. Her visit to Lithuania is part of a tour of frontline states. These include Finland, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Bulgaria and Romania.
Today's meeting clearly demonstrates our shared commitment to defending the eastern border of our Union and to strengthen the resilience of Europe as a whole. Lithuania, together with Latvia, Estonia, Finland and Poland, stands at the front line of this effort. Our task is both urgent and long-term: to deter threats, to strengthen resilience and to secure borders in Europe.
We want that member states with a direct border with Russia and Belarus will also receive additional European funding. It's in the European interest that we have the protection of the border here, because Europe's borders are a shared responsibility. The Lithuanian border is a European border.
More than 2 weeks after the Alaska summit between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, peace in Ukraine remains out of reach. Trump had predicted a meeting with President Zelensky within, quote, 2, maybe 3 weeks. The deadline passes today with no progress and no ceasefire.
Zelensky, speaking last week, reaffirmed Ukraine's readiness for talks but emphasized that Russia had not responded to Washington's proposal. French President Emmanuel Macron warned on Friday that if Putin failed to commit to a meeting with Zelensky by Monday, it would be a clear sign that the Russian leader was playing Trump. Macron added that such behavior should trigger additional sanctions from European nations. Meanwhile, at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in China, Putin reiterated his hardline stance. He blamed NATO expansion and Western influence for the conflict, calling for a fair balance in the security sphere, a phrase widely interpreted as a demand for Ukraine to abandon its NATO ambitions and accept territorial concessions.
As Russia's war in Ukraine drags on, European leaders are weighing tougher sanctions, including acid freezes, to push for a ceasefire. Speaking to TVP World, Rostisław Kotin of Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, explained the scope and potential impact of these measures.
Ukraine is putting pressure on its Western allies, especially the United States and the European Union, the European allies, to put secondary sanctions in place, especially against China. Some also mentioned Indonesia, which started buying cheaply Russian oil. Some Arab countries, especially after President Trump imposed 25% tariff on India, which buys also Russian oil. So Russian oil is extremely important for Russian state budget, which fuels a Russian war machine in its war against Ukraine.
Ukrainian police have not ruled out a Russian link in the killing of former parliament chairman Andriy Parubi in Lviv this weekend. The suspect is already in custody and has been charged with murder.
Ukrainian police have arrested a 52-year-old man from Lviv in connection with the murder of former parliamentary speaker Andriy Parubi. The suspect was formerly charged with premeditated murder and illegal possession of a firearm.
We do not rule out that there was a Russian trace, that this was an order from the Russian Federation. This crime was not spontaneous. First of all, it was carefully planned. We believe that it was more than a month of preparation, including the approach and the escape of the perpetrator.
The murder sent shockwaves across Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed condolences and assured the public that the case is under special scrutiny.
The circumstances of the murder of Andriy Parubi are being investigated. Many forces are involved, all that is necessary. The crime was unfortunately carefully prepared, but everything is being done to solve this crime.
Andriy Parubi served as chairman of Ukraine's parliament from 2016 to 2019 and played a key role in the Euromaidan revolution and Ukraine's defense efforts during the ongoing war with Russia.
Russian energy giant Rosneft has seen its net income fall by 2/3 in the first half of the year, the company's CEO Igor Sechin has said. The manager attributed the drop to rising global oil production.
Even though Rosneft's net income has plunged by 2/3, the company still earned $3 billion in the first half of 2025. Rosneft is the largest oil producer in Russia, responsible for around 40% of the country's global output. Global oil output has been steadily increasing this year on the back of production hikes announced by the members of OPEC+, a group which includes Middle Eastern countries and Russia, among others. To date, the group has agreed to raise their production by 2.5 million barrels a day, bringing the average price of oil to $70 per barrel, down from $80 per barrel last year.
In Poland, nearly 5 million students are returning to school on Monday as the academic year officially begins. For almost 400,000 first graders, it will be the very first ring of the school bell.
The new school year starts on September 1st and will run until June 26th. Students can expect 2 major holiday breaks: Christmas from December 22nd to 31st and Easter from April 2nd to 7th. Winter holidays are spread across 3 separate periods between January and March, depending on the region. Now over 200,000 children and youth from Ukraine now study in Polish schools. About 152,000 are refugees who fled the war, and another 51,000 arrived before January 2022. They make up roughly 4% of all students nationwide. The start of the school year is a major annual event in Poland, marking a return to classrooms, schedules and ceremonies after the summer break.
And before we go, let's go back to the topic of World War II. Gdańsk was the first target of World War II, with attacks on Westerplatte and the city's post office. Each year, residents and new generations gather at the post office to honor those who fought and died for freedom. Natalia Komarov reports.
On September 1st, 1939, in early hours of the morning, German police launched an attack on the very building behind me. The now renovated Polish post office, which at the time was an extraterritorial Polish property within the free city of Gdańsk. It is here that the local residents come every year to pay respects to the brave defenders of their city. Despite being heavily overpowered, Poles repelled the attack for over 14 hours. Frustrated, Commander Bethke of the German police ordered gasoline to be pumped into the building's basement and lit on fire. The defenders had no choice but to capitulate. The commemorations here are not just about history, but they're also about the future and about conveying the values of the defenders of Gdańsk to the future generations.
We must make sure not to forget that they once fought for the freedoms we enjoy today, the freedom to move uninhibitedly, say what we want, profess our beliefs, to simply be free people.
Today on the Polish Post Office Square there is a monument commemorating the event. It shows Nike, the goddess of victory, giving a rifle to a dying postman. It is a beautiful symbol of the will to fight against all odds. From Gdańsk, for TVP World, Natalia Komarov.
And with this we conclude Midday Report. Thank you for watching and please stay tuned for more World Talks coming up next.